Biggest thing is just our precision and execution. Obviously, I felt like our guys were headed in the right direction, but we just didn't execute with the precision that we needed to. Still got to improve on third down. Obviously, we've been kind of hot or cold. Some games we've been good, some games we've been bad. And then the biggest thing is just look at our alignments, our structure. Just make sure that we're not tipping things, because again, you got 6 games of information that people are looking at. So just challenging our guys to make sure that we're not just getting comfortable running what we run because that's what we run, but being able to change it up just a little bit and disguise some things. Because again, as you go into the stretch here, the next half of the season, people are really going to start honing in on the details of alignment, splits, all those kind of things. So really just reflecting upon ourselves and then getting a good head start on NC State. Just evaluating their personnel, their structure, reviewing the games we played them over the last couple of years. Obviously, they've been competitive games, so just making sure we got a good head start on what they do, but more so really focusing on us for the first week.
Is there anything you can attribute to the slow starts in games?
I wish I knew the answer to that one, and I tell you what, the last couple of weeks going into it, we've had the best weeks of practice and preparation, and then we get out there. I'll talk mostly about my room. I challenge Travis. I look at Travis in a couple situations. You look down there at Georgia Tech. He drops a pass. Puts us in second and long. So then now we're trying to go second and long, trying to stay on script. And obviously when we try to script for success, we're not planning on being on second and long. So then obviously you got to come off script and get out of rhythm a little bit. And then we go back to Wake Forest, second play of the game. He drops a pass. So just little things that the guys just for some reason, and we talked about it. He told me why, and it's an inside joke. I won't share why. Kind of puts a smile on my face, but we're going to work through that. But just biggest thing is just, I don't know the answer, but we're going to keep working on it, challenging these guys to understand the importance of every single play. That we can't count on our defense going out and getting 3 and outs and giving us multiple opportunities to get our engine revving. We got to get a fast start, have a strong middle, and then finish strong as well.
Tony, MJ had such a good game at Wake. Are you getting to a comfort level with him, kind of like you did with ETN this time last year, where he might get some more meaningful snaps?
He has to continue to show up in practice to earn those meaningful snaps, but it is comforting when he gets in there. You see that he tries to score every single time, a lot like Travis. So as we go down the stretch, as he becomes more comfortable, I think the biggest thing for him is learning how to pass protect. You can tell coming out of high school, he wasn't asked to do that much. They were going to swing him the ball, they were going to hand it to him, get him involved in the game. So, I'm pleased with his progression. Still has to continue to get better every single practice, but I feel a lot more confident with him being the fourth guy that if it came down to a situation where we had to go win a game with him, he'd be able to get in there and function.
Tony, you guys self-scout yourself, like you said. Since you inserted Trevor into the lineup, it's been obvious to some of us out here in the media. The defenses are playing you guys a little differently now. The safeties are laying back, playing 2 deep. Has that opened up your play calling for you? And with that respect, showing Trevor, what does it look going forward into the season? With your play calling, is it something that you can think about?
I think that some of that they've played us a little bit different, but also if you go back and you watch Wake, they were inserting the safeties. They were a lot more aggressive than what they showed, fitting the box, trying to stop the run. So I think that with Travis's ability to create the big play, to give us the ability to run, I think that has changed some things. And going forward, obviously we got to continue to execute at a high level to be able to open up the playbook. So it really hasn't changed it as much because obviously he's still a young guy, still a lot on his plate. You can't put too much on his plate this early on. But as he continues to get more comfortable with setting protections and doing all those things, we'll be able to open it up a little bit more. But I think it's been a combination of people have picked their spots. In certain situations, they play back, but then also they've tried to get 7, 8 guys near the box. You think about Syracuse, they had 7 in the box, 8 in the box, trying to stop the run. Georgia Tech, they played a little bit softer, both with Kelly when Kelly was in there and with Trevor. And then going back to this last game that we played, they were a lot more aggressive with their safeties than what we thought they were going to be trying to stop the run.
Tony, NC State sent a bunch of defensive players to the NFL who really made life tougher on you guys, but yet their defense looks just as strong. Is that just the maturity of a developing program? What have you seen out of their defense?
You got to give those guys credit. They worked their butt off in recruiting, and they're a top-tier program. And again, their defense, you don't really see much of a drop-off. And it seems like I know they don't have a lot of, on paper, returning starters, but all those guys in the front 4 and their 2 deep have played a lot of football, with the exception, I think they got maybe one freshman, the McNeil kid that's coming in, and he's a really, really good player with a very, very bright future. So they've done a really, really good job of recruiting. They recruit to their system. They know what they want to do on defense, and with the mix of the guys that had experience last year, some of the returning starters, they're very, very confident. I think their linebacker leads the ACC in tackles. So they're a very, very confident group. They played us well over the last couple of years. So they're going to come in here excited to play, and it's going to be a good challenge for us.
What do you remember about the last time NC State came here?
You know, no question. They're going to come in very, very confident, ready to play. They played us well the last couple of years, and what I remember from the last time they were in the Valley is they played us tough. Now, we gave them some opportunities. We turned the ball over 3 times in the red zone. I know we fumbled on the one. We got stopped on a 4th and 1 with Deshaun. We had a pick 6. So we gave them some opportunities to stay in the game. But looking at what they did last year, forcing us to try and go down the field, and we didn't convert on the plays. And they're going to be very, very confident coming in here. And again, the front 4 is an experienced bunch. Even though they don't have a lot of starts between them, they're very experienced. Their linebackers are experienced, and then they got some guys in the secondary that obviously they feel really confident with, and they're going to challenge us.
Tony, how much work were you guys able to get on NC State, and is it maybe an advantage that? I mean, maybe it's not an advantage because they had a week off too, and they were probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did the same thing, and they do a really, really good job on both sides of the ball. Obviously, they got an offense that can score points, that's throwing it at a high level. Obviously, their defense is top 35 in the country in a lot of categories, and they're going to come in 5-0, very, very confident. So I don't think the off week gives us an advantage because they had an off week as well, and I'm pretty sure they're going through the same process of evaluating themselves, trying to break any tendencies that they have. But most importantly, it's going to come down to what it always comes down to in games like this is which team can come out and execute with precision at a high level is going to be the team that wins the game.
Kind of a two-part question. You're 4th in the country in rushing behind 3 option teams. Do you take pride in that? And then the second part of it is, even though you're 4th, you're still one of only a few teams in the nation that have over 1,500 yards passing and rushing.
You know, I think our guys take a lot of pride in running the football, and obviously it's still mid-season, so we got a lot of football left to play. But those guys, we got hot for a couple games, and Travis is starting to come into his own. I hate that Taven got hurt and banged up last week, but he was really starting to pick up his level of play. So it's encouraging when you can go out and run the football, and I think that kind of leads into another question that I had earlier. Because of our ability to run the football, they got to make a decision. Are they going to put 7 in the box? Are they going to play us with a 2 shell? And if we can run the ball when they do have their safeties back deep, it sets up the play action. It sets up a lot of things that we can do. So pleased with where we are running the football, but there's still some details in the run game that we can even do better, and hopefully we can stay consistent running the football. And then, to be a team that's balanced, that's something we always want to be. We want to be balanced. We want to be able to throw it when we need to throw it, when we want to throw it, run it when we need to run it, and when we want to run it. So, if we can stay balanced, then I think that puts a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. And then with our defense, when they're playing at a high level, they give us extra opportunities, give us an opportunity to kind of put some pressure on the other team, and hopefully continue to dictate the pace of the game. When you can do both when you want to, you can kind of dictate the pace of the game as opposed to being reactionary to what the defense is doing if they can stop one of your opponents.
Tony, this year's team seems to be more explosive forward, with explosive plays being top of the list. Talk about what creates an explosive play and how you guys have been able to take advantage of it.
I think the biggest thing is playmakers are more experienced. You look at T. Higgins, he's a lot more experienced. Justin Ross has come in and he's just a one-of-a-kind talent. He just has a knack for the big play. Then you look at the quarterback getting them the ball, and then in the running game, Travis is a lot more confident in the scheme and what we're doing, and he understands the importance of a little bit of patience. Whereas last year he was kind of outrunning his blocking, which would eliminate some big plays because you're trying to get ahead of the offensive line. So now he's a little bit more patient. He's waiting on the holes to develop, and then he has the burst to be able to take it the distance. And then the big thing in the run game to be explosive is the receivers doing a really, really good job of blocking on the perimeter. You see those guys downfield blocking, which creates the big explosive runs. So I think it's a combination of guys who are a year older. They got a lot more confidence, and then we're finding the right situations to give them the ball, and then they're doing the rest.
Where have you seen Travis grow the most since he's got here?
Just his overall knowledge of the game. I think he was a guy that's always been very, very talented, but he came from an option system where he was asked to run wide with the pitch, or they were going to put him at B-back and hand him the ball and let him run up the middle, whereas now he has to understand the difference between a zone scheme, a power scheme, a counter scheme, speed option, all these different run concepts. Everyone has a different footwork associated with it. Everyone has a different timing, and then now you get him in there and we 6-man protect, and now he's got to be able to identify 3 down, 4 down, bare fronts. He's got safety blitzes. He's got corner blitzes. I mean, he's got all kind of things. So just his overall understanding of football is where I've seen him grow the most. And then again, he's always been a willing pass blocker, but I'm starting to see him trust his technique a little bit more so that he can, one, anticipate it, and when he gets there, he has the right technique to be able to hold up so we can throw the ball down the field.
Part of my naivety of this, but how I guess throughout your coaching career, how often have you recruited a guy from an object-based system, and how steep is that learning curve?
I think for majority of your guys, because when you look at the running back position at the high school level, it's typically the best player on the team, right? If he's not playing running back, he's playing quarterback, and so typically not going to ask your best player to do a whole lot of pass protection, right? So whether you run an option or whether you run a spread, you're either going to hand him the ball or you're going to get him out in a passing route and get the ball in his hands. Whereas when you transition, to the college level, you see multiple fronts in series. Whereas typically in high school, you might see a 3-4 team. They're going to be 3-4 all game. You know what I'm saying? Then they're going to have what they do out of it. Then you might play a 4-down team the next week. Whereas at our level, you'll see 4 down on first down, you'll see odd on second down, then you'll see bear on third down with all the assortments of the exotic blitzes. So I think for any guy coming in at the running back position, there is a steep learning curve unless they just happen to run the same system in high school, which is very, very rare.
When you said back in August that you thought Lynn J was a little bit ahead of Travis in terms of pass pro, do you still feel that way?
I feel so. Just because his system was more of a spread system, so he's asked to protect just a little bit. But he came in with a good knowledge base, even though he came from a small school down there in Butler, Georgia. He still had a good knowledge base, and he understood when I started talking about the Sam, the Mike, the Will, the Free, the Strong, where those were some of the things where you really had to sit Travis down and say, okay, this is how we identify structure. He had a good background on, okay, this is a 4-3 structure, this is a 3-4 structure. So that's why I say he's a little bit ahead. As far as I know, he's back in practice today. I'm anxious to see when he gets out there. Obviously, with the shoulder, you don't want him to get banged up too much. So we've had limited contact, but he'll be thrown back in today, and I won't know until I actually see him run around. But just talking to him, he says he feels good. But also them shoulder injuries, I know how they are. They're a little bit nagging at times.
Will you guys have some more towels on the sideline? What's your message to your offense to maintain composure against the team?
Biggest thing is we just got to focus on ourselves, and that's a core philosophy in our program. It's all about Clemson, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to approach it that way, and we're not going to make a big deal out of it. Obviously, Nick Chubb was a great player, and he was kind of the culprit with that, and hopefully that's behind us. But I think there's going to be enough just respect for NC State from our players because of how they played us over the last couple of years and what they're doing in recruiting, and they're 5-0, and they've earned the right to to have some confidence. So we're going to focus on us executing with precision and being detailed, and then just not getting caught up in the emotion, because the emotion of the game is not going to win it. It's going to be the execution.